Alright guys, I think I have a totally original take on an opening for video. Hello there, DarthBobcats. It's time for another video, and today we're doing a DarthBobcat alternate take. A lot of times I find that I've written a couple of books, though I haven't published any of them, and I usually find that most of my story ideas are based on me reading something or watching something and just going, this is fundamentally stupid, and I think I know how to fix it. Yeah, spite is a great creative output. So this is not an actual review of X-Men Mojo Black. I was considering it, but I had opinions to share right away from what I saw in a few reviews and reading and what I've read here of the sample. But when I tried to purchase it, Amazon kept glitching out on me and not letting me actually process the purchase. So, rather than a true review, it stinks, to quote the critic. This is going to be more of a take on how they messed up a good potential concept and how I would do it differently. The fundamental flaw of X-Men Black Mojo here is it's hard to... Okay, so let's go from the beginning. Who is Mojo? Mojo is a longtime X-Men villain from, I want to say it was introduced in the Chris Claremont runs of the 80s. The idea with Mojo is that he is a hyped up parody of a TV executive. His eyes are always stuck open because he can't blink or else he'd miss things. As I recall, it's been a little bit since I've read his earlier stories. I've usually been reading things like in Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force, or possibly it was Uncanny Avengers. I can't remember which one. Those run kind of continuations of each other. Anyway, Mojo is like the most corrupt TV executive possible. He decided at some point in the 80s that the X-Men were very marketable, and so ever since then he's been periodically kidnapping them and forcing them to star in his sick, sadistic TV shows that are usually like Gladiator Blood Sports. He's also the origin of the characters Longshot and Shatterstar. He's done stunts like create the X-Babies, who are like, it's like the Muppet Babies, but for X-Men. He is how they parody trends in TV and pop culture whenever they come out. Now, given that there's been a lot of controversy in the industry lately about how, classic characters are being replaced by new characters, a lot of fans feel disaffected, political backfighting in the comics, you would think that if you're working for Marvel and you have an opinion on that, Mojo here is going to be your stand-in for someone like Diversity in Comics or Ethan Van Sciver. And they do a little bit of that early on. I don't know how he can read, but they talk about how the classic X-Men that he grew up with were being replaced by new characters, and so he's like, now I need to kill all those new mutant characters and bring back my X-Men. That is really the last time he stands in as a really trenchant parody of disaffected comic book fans. Now instead, what it really is Mojo as an incel, I guess is how I would describe him. He basically, I can't believe this, he's been going to a human coffee shop. Never mind that this guy, and he's crushing on this pink-haired girl. Never mind that he owns like he owns his own planet. There's nothing on Earth that should interest him. He also, I don't think I've ever read a Mojo comic where he actually ended up on Earth directly. He's corpulent. He's so fat that he doesn't have legs, and he gets around on these wicked-ass spider legs here. I mean, for God's sakes, look at that. That is not a guy who is supposed to go out into the field like that. And what's worse is they did the worst thing you could do for a character like Mojo. They gave him a soul. Now you might say that dimensions to a character are a good thing, but Mojo is not a good person, but they're trying to portray him as if he's a stand-in for incel comic book fans. Oh, you see, Mojo, or you see, fan, if you change your ways, girls, like this pink-haired girl here, will talk to you and date you, no matter how repulsive you are. It's kind of insulting in its own way, really, but it's not even like a good insult. It's just you aren't using Mojo. You decided to use all these X-Men villains for X-Men Black, and you decided that Mojo best fit what you're after. What they were going for, where he's kind of like the lonely fat guy who's just kind of angry all the time, and him getting over his anger helps him become a better person, I would actually have used the Blob for that, because he'd be a better stand-in. But that isn't the worst thing. Even if you had the right character in there, this wouldn't be a great story. But the fact that it's Mojo makes it a crime. Let me tell you the alternate take that I have for X-Men Black Mojo. Or is it X-Men Mojo Black? X-Men Black Mojo. Okay. Mojo Rising. Got more like Mojo failing to entertain. So, alternate take on X-Men Black Mojo. If you're gonna make Mojo a stand-in for disaffected fans, have him be a real stand-in for Comicsgate. I would say that the biggest foible that you can parody Comicsgate Live on is that they talk for hours on end about various topics, but a lot of the comics have not come out yet. In fact, most of the comics haven't. Now, I don't see this as a valid complaint. You often watch them drawing as they talk. But I could see that being a parody point. So, here's what you do. Mojo Mojoverse TV, or excuse me, Mojo World TV is on a downward trend. Turns out that dirty millennials across the multiverse are cutting their cords, so Mojo's TV station is starting to fail. Mojo asks a young intern at this board meeting where they're finding out their profits are going down, well, what are you kids watching instead? And the kid reveals this little kid, or actually I guess say young man, reveals his phone where he's watching somebody playing a Fortnite parody. And he says, yeah, I just got my super chat through. And the guy, says the dumb meme that the kid had just typed in. And Mojo says, wait a second. You just turn a camera on and people will pay you to say their words. Yeah, it's so deliciously ingenious, I can't believe I'd ever thought of it myself. So Mojo decides to rile up everyone against the X-Men. He launches X-Gate Live, where he spends hours on end talking about how terrible the X-Men are, possibly even bringing up past flaws of the X-Men, like say, well, Wolverine, here's all these horrible things that were revealed that he had done after he got his memory back in the wake of House of M, or the Phoenix destroyed entire planets. Even though that wasn't Jean Grey technically, it's not like Mojo is going to be fair. And Mojo just sits around. You could make him a parody of Ethan Van Sciver, just have him wearing a XXL shirt, eating pies, selling, have everyone call him Uncle M. And so he just spends all this time raising funds. What is he raising funds for? Well, he and the various low-grade X-Men villains like the Locust, Sauron. I'm trying to think of other low-tier X-Men villains, but I like most X-Men villains well enough that I can't think of anyone who'd be... Oh, you could have the Toad on there. And they're all just talking about much like in Comicsgate, everyone has their own Kickstarter, or each have their own Indiegogo going. Everybody there is trying to fund their own plan to kill or capture the X-Men. And so after a few months of this, Mojo is finally getting close to his funding goal. He launches his Kickstarter campaign. And at the end of it, he's talking with his lawyer. Yeah, he said, it's a shame I'm going to have to use all this money to hire those mercenaries to kill the X-Men. And then his attorney says, well, technically, you're not required to use that money for it. What do you mean? Well, In the terms of every crowdfunding website, they say that it's fundamentally risky to back these projects, and that you can end up with nothing for it. And so Mojo gets a wonderful, awful idea to take his money and run. And so he looks at this accountant thoughtfully, and you cut to him and Sauron and everyone else on a Caribbean island surrounded by bags of money and beautiful women in bikinis giving them mixed drinks. And Mojo can be in the comment being like, "I love angry nerds." Now, that would be a good parody of a certain perspective of Ethan Van Sciver and everyone else like that. It would be funny. It would be a story that you could understand even if you had no idea what the hell a Comicsgate was. It would be the type of thing where if you handled it right, people on either side could enjoy it and find it funny. But no, you had to try to make a morality play with a character who fundamentally has no morals. They have him save a young child from getting hit by a car when she tries to save her cat. That is not Mojo. You know what Mojo would be? Mojo would be the guy who'd whip out his phone and try to live stream the kid getting hit by the car. Then he would take her back to Mojo World and he would turn her into a cyborg cat warrior and force her into his slave pits to fight for her life. That is Mojo. There are some characters you cannot give depth, and that is Mojo. Anyway, that's my alternate take. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your comments. I try to respond to most of them. And please like and subscribe. This channel is in early days, and anything you can do to help out would be much appreciated. You have a great day. Bye! Man, I need to come up with my own openings and endings at some point.